started?
No.
Okay, what we're going to do tonight is we are going to look at transferable skills between scrapbooking and mini book making, because there are loads. There are many, but I want to look at waterfalls today because they're just a great way of putting as many pictures as possible on a layout, and also in a mini book. So they're both used for exactly the same purpose, and when it comes to waterfalls, I love waterfalls. If you've made books with me, you know I love waterfalls. There's actually sorry, what?
I'd love to be under one.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind being under one at the moment. It definitely is a good idea. But there's two ways of doing waterfalls, and I'm going to show you both of them. Now, I'm not promising I'm going to do any decorating tonight, but we're definitely going to do the the base of a waterfall. So this is our basic waterfall. Okay, this is one that is very, very easy to put together, and we're going to do one this size because this is a super clever idea where you can make this waterfall, but because you're putting like a strip of paper, you can either use it for a straight standard 6x4 landscape, or because of the size of it, you can use it for a portrait 6x4. So it doesn't matter if you've got a mixture of photos, portrait and landscape, you can still use them, because I don't know about you, but when I'm scrapbooking, I often have a mix of photos, landscape and portrait, and it can make it quite difficult to put together. Did hear a great tip though, and you might like this. If you are a scrapbooker and you are taking a photo of something for a scrapbooking page, take two photos. Take one in portrait and one in landscape, and that way you'll have something that works whichever way you decide to do it in the end. So that's my Thursday tip for you. So that's going to be the first waterfall that we do, and you'll see that actually it's got a flat piece here, which sometimes I decorate. I didn't on this occasion, and that's dead easy to do, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And then we're going to work on something which is a little bit more complicated, but really not. So this is a waterfall too, but all you have to do is just pull this bit and it does all the work for you. I think this is so clever. I love this. I can spend hours and hours and hours doing this. How sad am I? So we're going to do that, and it looks complicated, but I am telling you it is the easiest thing in the world. Once you've done it once, it'll be like, oh yeah, get that. Right, so let's start with our simple waterfall. Okay, so what I want you to do is, you've got your piece of 12 by 12 card, which we're going to use for a backing, and you can decorate that in any way that you like, but I'm going to show you how to make the waterfall.
Photo frame turn buttons.
Photo frame turn buttons? Yeah, but we're not using them in a photo frame.
Well,
I'm thinking, yeah, I know that. I just wondered if they got a technical name for, like scrapbooking purposes, or in books. I don't know. I'll have to think of something to call it. So what I want you to do is, I want you to cut 5 pieces at 6 by 6.5 inches. Okay, and if you're using A4 like me, you're going to get 2. No, you're not. You're only going to get 1 out of a piece of A4, aren't you? You get 2 out of a piece of 12 by 12. So, yeah. 6.5 by 6, you're only going to get 1. Huh. Keep these spare bits, because we can use them in the next one. So, I want you to cut 5 of these, 6 by 6.5.
6 by 6.5.
Yeah.
What papers are you using?
I'm just using plain cardstock at the moment.
No, what's in the book?
Oh, what did I use there? I used PinkFresh Studio Let's Stay Home. But I'm not using them on the one that I'm doing tonight. On tonight I'm using whatever I used last week, which was some, I can't remember, some holiday type paper. But originally, yeah, I used PinkFresh Studio, but I wanted to use something different.
Louise reckons you might like them being called flap closures.
Yes, that does appeal to my sense of cute. Actually, flap closure is exactly what it says on the tin, isn't it? Yeah, that would do. That would do. Mel, I really want to tell him about last night. I don't know, it's a bit rude. Oh, is Ellie here? Ellie's here. Ellie, is Axel here? Is Axel listening? Yeah, it's alright. I don't mind you being late. I just want to know if Axel's here. Well, Glenda, if your picture has frozen, it's the only thing in the whole world that appears to be cold at the moment. That's all I'm saying. Oh, don't tell me that, Louise. I like the idea that you made it up. It kind of appeals to my sensibilities. Right, okay, so we've cut out our 5 bits at 6 by 6.5 inches, which I probably could have told you in centimetres if I'd worked it out, but, you know, that's too complicated for my hot brain. So what we're going to do now is we're going to score on the 6.5 inch side, which means, hi Maddie, which means that we're going to have our 6.5 inch side at the top of our scoreboard. Now, if you remember last week, hi Rekka. Well, I'm glad you made it. If you remember last week, we talked about ways that you can... Oh, hold on. Hang on. Stop. Axel, you listening? I got to tell you, your little book is quite honestly the most wonderful book I have seen ever. And I'm just so blown away by it. I just think it's amazing. And I wanted to tell you face to face how amazing your little book is. So thank you very much for making it. It's brilliant. And I love the dinosaur bit best. Most excellent book. Well done.
Welcome back, Glenda.
So, yes, and welcome back, Glenda. Right, so last week we talked about ways, if you haven't got a scoreboard, what you can do instead of using a scoreboard. So we discussed that you can use your trimmer, your ordinary trimmer, like you've got one of these Fiskars ones. They actually do come, they've got like a black attachment that you can use to score, or if you haven't got one of those, obviously here you've got this groove on your trimmer, and you can use like a ball tool or an old biro to make that score line, or you can just use a ruler and a you know, ball tool and embossing tool, or an empty biro. So lots and lots and lots of different ways of scoring if you don't have a scoreboard, because I don't expect... What, he's gone shy? Oh, Axel, you're amazing. Don't go shy. Oh, bless him. Cute little thing. I'm sure your mum thinks that 100% of the time as well. Right, anyway, so, yeah, Louise, I'm sticking. It was your idea. That's cool. So we're going to score on the 6.5 inch side, which means that I've got the 6.5 inch side at the top of my scoreboard, okay? And I want to score at 1/2 inch, which means that what I've got here is a 6 inch square, 6 by 6 inch square, okay, with a 1/2 inch flap at the end. And we're going to do that on each of our cuts. So scoring again on the 6.5 inch side, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch on every single one of them. Okay, so that's done. Right, now what I need to do is fold that flap over, and I'm going to use my bone folder to get a really, really good crease. This is quite important. But you don't, if you haven't got a bone folder, you can use your ruler, you can use anything with a flat edge really, because all you want to do is make sure that those paper, those fibres in the paper start to lie flat. It really, really helps, you know, when it comes to sticking things together and lying flat, etc, etc. So I'm just gonna burnish all of those. I've got cat hairs everywhere. Now before I put this waterfall together on my 12 by 12 page, I'm just going to mat the back of my my 12 by 12 page before I stick this down, because, well, number one, you'll see it easier actually, if truth be told. So let me just choose a piece of paper for the back of my layout. Let's see what I've got. Decisions. Let's go for that one. And I'm just going to cut it down so it's just slightly under that 12 by 12 size. So I'm going to cut this at 11 and a half inches square. I mean, however you decorate up your your layout is entirely up to you. I'm just doing this quickly just so it gives you a better sort of contrast for seeing what I'm doing. But if you know where your waterfall's going to go, you don't necessarily have to do it in this order. So I've got my piece of plain cardstock, and I've got that I'm going to pop on there like that. I'm going to use tape tonight because I have no idea where my glue is. That's going to be good. It probably is, actually. I'm going to have a bit of a problem. It's going to be a nightmare trying to make one without glue. I should have thought of that a bit sooner. Right. So really this bit's just for, well, it's for your benefit actually, just so that you can see what I'm doing. I don't like using tape because if I get it wrong, it's just stuck there then. So let's hope it looks vaguely equal when I put it on. Okay, right. That is near enough. Right, so to put my waterfall on, I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to work my way down. Okay? So, yeah, go out and come back in again, Mavis. That might do the trick. Hi, Bianca. I thought mine had just frozen, but it turned out I wasn't moving. Right, let's see if we can get some glue out of this. That'd be novel, wouldn't it? Oh, right, so what I'm going to do is, I mean, you can use double-sided tape, but I'm just going to use glue. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Miranda. And I'm just going to put some glue on that flap there, like that. Okay, and I'm going to decide whereabouts on my layout I want my waterfall to go. I'm going to put it somewhere around the top left because, well, why not? And this is nice paper because I can get a straight line out of that. Oh, I like that. Yeah, that was luck rather than judgment, I have to say. Right, so that's where my waterfall's going to go. And I've just glued that first one down like that. Now this flap is actually, it's going to show us, hi Margaret, this flap is going to show us where we put our next piece. So I'm going to grab my next bit of my waterfall and I'm going to put some glue on that flap. Sorry guys, I'm going to do this sideways so that I can see what I'm doing a bit better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down now. So I've got my flap like that, but I'm going to line this top bit, that folded edge, up with the bottom of that flap that I've glued there. Okay? So I'm going to stick it on But to make sure it's in the right place, I'm going to fold that down and make sure that those two just line up. Okay? Yes, I've run out of glue as well, Miranda. It's not good, is it? Okay, so now I've got 2 pages in my waterfall. And you can put as many pages in as you want. But we're just going to do exactly the same way. We're going to keep building it up by using our flap as the guide. Yeah, Sally Ann, you can make it whatever size you like. I mean, with regard to, I mean, I'm just doing this, you know, so that I can fit on my 6x4 standard size photograph, whether I use portrait or landscape. But you know what, you can make your waterfall a standard 6x4 size. So, for example, I'm just trying to think. Well, the one that I don't think have I got one that's not movable? I have sort of. Hang on. There's one in a book here that I made in a class last month actually, and this has got a sort of a waterfall in it. This one here. These are 6x4 photos, but these are all portrait size. But this waterfall is made in exactly the same way. It's just a standard waterfall, but that's you know, with the photos standing up portrait. So you can do it whatever way you want, whether you want to use portrait, landscape. You can size this to fit your photos. So you could, you know, if you're doing 3x4 photos, say for instance, make it the size to fit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you do them portrait or landscape. It doesn't matter whether you have them going up and down the page like that. You can have them going across the page. So for example, here, my page, this page is going to be this way up. So my waterfall is going to be that way. But if I wanted to do my waterfall going that way, so that I'm opening it that way, there's no reason why not. Or that way. Once you know how to put a waterfall together, it doesn't matter what size or which way round you do it, they're made in exactly the same way. And this is such an easy way to put it together. So it's entirely up to you what suits your page, what suits your photos. You can put as many flaps on it as you want to. I have a little, oh crikey, I don't think I can oh, what am I talking about? The book, the last little tiny mini book that we're going to make on our 4th week together. Oh, this one. This has a little waterfall in it made in exactly the same way. So this is just using just two spaces for photos. So you can make it as big or as small as you want to, whatever fits on your page. Okay? Right, so let's pop that in there. Let's get that straight. Okay, and we'll put the last 2 in. So yeah, there's absolutely no set sizes. It's whatever works for you. The only thing is, just remember to add on 1/2 inch or 1 centimetre, you know, at one end, so that you can attach, you can make your flap and you can attach your waterfall to your page or your book. That is the only sort of proviso, if you see what I mean. As long as you're doing that, you can make it any size you like. Okay, so last one, which I've lost. Here it is. Let's pop that in there. Make sure that's straight. Yep. And there we have a very simple waterfall. So we've got a lot more real estate. Ooh, it's not quite straight. A lot more real estate on here now for photos. We can add a lot more photos to our pages. Now, if you're going to put this in something like a spiral bound scrapbook, obviously that's great. You haven't got any page protectors, so it doesn't matter that, you know, you can open up and the waterfall when when you choose. If you are using a page protector, what I have seen done is that people measure and just cut around where the waterfall is, so that the rest of the page is in a page protector, apart from that one bit of the waterfall, so that people can obviously still use it in the way that you intended, rather than taking your pages in and out all the time. Okay, so I'm hoping that has been quite easy and self-explanatory. So now I want to move on to what looks like a harder waterfall, but really isn't. So once again, I've got my 12 by 12 piece that I'm going to put some backing paper on in a minute. And I've got some bits of card left over from the last one. So grab your trimmers, ladies and gents, if we have any. And I want you to cut 5 pieces at 6 by 4 inches. So this is the standard size of a photograph. Okay, so let's go. Six by 4, and I'm using the offcuts from my previous waterfall for this. Waste not, want not. If you go into my paper scissors story group, I'm not sure if it's on YouTube or not, but there is a class for a really tiny accordion mini book, and that would work very well as another way to add a lot of photographs to a scrapbook page. Super simple. I have got one here. This book isn't finished just yet, but just as an example, here, this is an accordion way, which is just another way to add photos into your page. So that's kind of like an already stuck down waterfall, I suppose. So that's another way that you could pretty much do exactly the same thing. And if you go, say if you go into my group and look for the small accordion mini book, I'll show you how to make one, but you only really need the insides of it. So that might be another way for you to get more photo space. So for 5, I need one more. Don't know. Let's cut another one. So 6 by 4. Okay, so you've got 5 of those. Right, then what I want you to do is grab a piece of A4 paper, and I know that some of people taking class are not from the UK. When I talk about A4, I'm talking about a UK A4 size, which is 11 3/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches across. So when I say the length of an A4, I'm talking 11 3/4 inches. It is 11 3/4, isn't it? Yeah, 11 3/4 inches. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the bit that actually makes the waterfall work. So that's the length of an A4, which is 11 3/4, and we're going to cut that at 6 inches. Okay, so just like that. So that's 11 3/4 by 6 essentially. And then we need to cut one piece, which is 2 1/4 inches, although this is variable. It doesn't have to be 2 1/4, it can be 1, it doesn't have to be, it's just that because I had that piece spare, it was 2 1/4 was the nearest amount, if you see what I mean. But this doesn't have to be exact.
What size is it?
It was 2 1/4, and it's going to be by 8 1/4 inches. Okay, right, so that's our cutting done for now. I hope you're all messy crafters like me. Right, so now I need you to get your scoreboards or whatever it is that you're using for scoring. And we'll start easy. We'll start on this one, which is 8 1/4 by 2 1/4. And we're going to score on the 8 1/4 inch side. Yes, Wendy, it is. You got a bit of a sneak peek there. It's not quite finished. Nearly. Really nearly. But yeah. Right, so we're going to score on the 8 1/4 inch side, and we're going to score at 2 inches and at that. There's no way that's right. Ignore that. I've put the wrong amount down. Don't score at 2 inches. Score at 1 inch and 7 1/4. Let me just check. Yeah, so score at 1 inch and 7 1/4. I don't know what possessed me to write that, because I can't even say I was too
heat exhaustion.
Hot. Well, no, because I wrote this ages ago.
Oh.
So I can't put it down to heat exhaustion. I will. Yeah, I did it just Monday and it was too hot then. Right, so, okay, we're going to score now on the long piece, which is 11 3/4. That's our length of A4. And I want you to score at 1 inch, 1 1/2 inches, 2 inches, 2 1/2 inches, 3 inches, and 3 1/2 inches. So what you've got is you've got an inch gap here, and then these are all 1/2 inch. And as you will notice, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What on earth is wrong with me tonight? You want 6 of these, 6 with the 6x4. You know what, I just give up. I thought 5 was a funny number. You want 6. 6 and a by 4. That would explain why I had the extra card. Right, so you've got 6 pieces which is 6x4. You've got 1 piece which is 11 3/4 by 6, and you've got 1 piece which was 2 1/4 by 8 1/4. Okay, so we've got all of those. Now we actually make this separately to our page. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to fold it. So I've got this long piece here, and we're going to fold it on that inch mark. Oh, that was my fingers. I told you I was hot. I don't want you to think that I'm, you know. Anyway, and I'm going to burnish that. And then I'm going to fold it down again onto the next 1/2 inch score. And I'm going to burnish that. And I'm going to fold it again on all of these score marks. You can tell I'm hot because I've got dirty fingers and it's all over my beautiful white card. You know what we're going to do this weekend? We're going to sort my desk out so it's not covered in all of these cuts and things. That would be really good.
That's what we're going to do.
That is one of the things we're going to do, yeah. And I'm going to learn to not cut straight onto the board and use a proper thingy. Right, so what we've got here now is we've got our card, and we've folded and burnished on each of those score lines, so it's a bit curvy now, but it's a bit more movable, shall we say. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to start to put our waterfall together. So I've got here one of my 6x4s, but first of all what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put some glue on that inch flap, but only up to where the score line is. Okay, so it's just on that inch piece there. Okay, and now I'm going to take my 6x4 inch card I'm going to glue it or stick it down to where I've put the glue. So right up to that score line, like that. So you can see I've got that 1 inch flap there, and I have just stuck that 6x4 piece to it. Okay, so now I've got an even longer piece. So what I'm going to do next is stick the next one on. So I'm going to put some glue on that next sort of gap between those next two score lines, so above the piece that we've just added and the next score line, and I'm going to stick that next 6x4 piece on top, just up to that score line, and make sure that it fits really nicely on top of that previous piece, so that you can see that they're straight, one on top of the other. Okay, so I've got my score lines, so I've glued one up to there and one up to there. So where each of these, in between these score lines, I am going to glue one of my 6x4 pieces. Okay, so the only place that we're putting glue is in between those score lines, so from the top of the piece that you've just added up to the next score line. Okay, so let me put a little bit of glue on there. Okay, so I've got my glue there between the top of the piece that I've just added and the next score line, and I'm going to glue my next photo mat size thing up to that score line and make sure it just lines up with the pieces that went before it. Okay, so I've got 3 now, but they're not stuck to each other, they're only stuck to where those flaps are. Okay, and we're going to keep going until we've got them all on. Ow, poke myself. Oh, I hope we have another storm like last night, because it did seem to make a difference this morning. Okay, so now I've got 4 of my photo mats on, and as you can see they're lining up with each other. And now I want to add my 5th one, so it butts up to that score line, sits on top nicely of the ones that came before it, and now I'm going to just add my last one, which will take us up to that last score line. Up the top there. Okay, are we all getting this? We doing all right? Yeah, it's starting to thunder here, Diane.
Distant rumblings.
Yes, distant rumblings. All right, so what I've got now is I've got my photo mats added to where each of those score lines was. Okay, so now my waterfall's in place, but we want it to move because that's the fun bit. No, it was 6, Shelley. It was 6 because I'm an idiot and I can't count. So yeah, cut an extra one, an extra 6x4. Okay, so now we've got this piece that we cut, okay, with these 2 flaps on the side here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some glue to the top of that, so my flaps are underneath. And I'm going to open up this and I'm going to add it to that very, very, very first photo mat that we stuck on. Okay, and I'm going to center it side to side. All right, so that very, very first photo mat that we stuck on, I've now stuck that bit to the back, lining it up at the bottom with the 2 flaps there. Okay, so here's the waterfall that I've just made. Here's the flap that I've just stuck on the very back. So I've got the flap here that we've just stuck on, and up here this is the 1 inch flap where we stuck our first photo mat. Okay, So this piece, this bit with the 2 flaps, that's on the back of that first photo mat, okay? Now, I'm just going to put that to one side because I'm just going to find some more paper and I am going to add my backing paper in. Where did I put? Oh, here it is. Right. Because this will make better sense when you see it and it'll show up better on coloured paper. So, oh, okay. That side or that side? Corporate decision, please. The stripes or the birds? Birds or stripes? Make a decision for me.
We have belts, stripes.
Good answer. I'm glad you agree with me.
Stripes.
Yep, stripes it is. I was going to do stripes anyway. Right, so I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut this at 11.5 as well, but to make it equal, is that 1/2 inch? Yeah. I'm cutting off that purple one. It's not straight. This is the trouble with stripes. Right. Okay. Right, now, to attach our waterfall to the book or the page or whatever, what we need to do is this flap that we've got here, we need to take it round the back of that long piece. Now, I find it's an awful lot easier if you mat this bit first, in my opinion. So, let me find my ruler. Oh, look, magnets. I wondered where they'd gone. This is 6. I knew that. Why am I measuring it? 6 by 8. Let me just pick a piece of coordinating paper. What have I got? Oh, that'll do. That's probably nowhere near 6. No, it isn't. Oh, typical. Reminds me of Love Hearts. I think it's the colours. Oh, yellow, gotta be. Yeah.
Ooh.
Was that lightning?
No, it was just that yellow.
I know, I like it. I'm having the yellow. I wasn't going to. I was going to put the glasses side, but I'm having the yellow. So I'm just going to mat that bit first, because it's easiest. Right, so I've got my flappy bits and I'm going to curl those round the back, okay? And all I need to do is just put some glue on those flaps and then place my thingy where I want it to go. Oh, make sure it's straight. That's always a good idea. Huh? You what?
Follow the stripe.
Yeah, follow the stripe. Oh no, I've done that. Okay, and stick that down. And now, drum roll. Watch this. Oh, this is a good place to put Flair, isn't it? Nat's Flair would look ace on one of these. Right. So imagine I had one of Nat's Flair here, and it would go. Ba 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 ba. Oh, I love that bit. Oh, it makes me so happy, and it's so easy. It looks so complicated, and it so isn't. So there you go. That's how to make a moving waterfall, and exactly the same principle on this one as well. If you've got it in a page protector, cut out where you know where this is going to go. Make sure that you've got this bit over the top of your plastic, and then you can have a working waterfall. Now you can't fit a 6x4 picture on the back of here. I tend to. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to get that book up again. When I do waterfalls, I tend to put like, you can see here, I've used like pattern paper on the back there. So, there you go. So, that is how to make 2 different sorts of waterfalls, which will increase your real estate for your photos in your layouts or in your mini books. And that's about it, really. That's all I've got to say for tonight. So don't forget that you can win an Ocean Blue Minibook Madness Falopalop pencil by making one or either of these layouts with the waterfalls, popping it into the relevant albums, both in Falopalop and in my Paper Scissors Story group, and then you are in with the chance of winning a Falopalop pencil, and then overall as well we'll do a draw for one of my
where's the band?
books. Where's the band?
On the flippy floppy one.
The band, it goes on the back. I had one I made earlier. What did I do with it? I thought, I'm not going to throw that away because it might be useful when I'm explaining how to make them, which means I'll put it somewhere safe. Here we go. Right, here's one I made earlier. So this one I've ripped off because I took it out of the book. But the band, here, if I rip this off a bit more, it'll make better sense. Of course, I could just use scissors. Right, so your band. The band went on the back of the first what's it that we put in, and it goes behind the back of that long piece. You put your glue on there, and that's where you attach it to your page. Is that all right? Does that help, Shelley? Yeah, Karen, it's the super sweet book. It's nearly done, so it won't be long before I show you properly how it works and how it all goes together. So I apologise really for the sneak peek. Right, okay, so are we all comfortable with that? Does anybody have any questions? Brilliant. If you think of anything you want to know, you can drop me a line. You can leave me a message in the group. Just, tag me or whatever. But I will look forward to seeing your creations in both groups. And I will see you back here next week when we are going to make this 12x12 wallet, which I'm going to put all of my things in that I've made on this project. But you could use it for, I don't know, making page kits to take to crops, for keeping bits in, all sorts of things. So I think it's going to be useful you know, for all sorts of purposes. So thanks for joining me, guys. Let's hope this weather cools down a bit soon, because it's a bit much, and I'll see you all next week. Have an absolutely great weekend, and thank you very much for joining me.
Oh.